Hey, this is Mr. Young again. This is about fractions and an introductory video of fractions. So this video will talk about what fractions are, what the numbers at the top, bottom, what that little line in between fractions represent. So you have probably heard of fractions before. Basically, fraction is just part of the whole number. I'm sure a lot of examples have used something like, I don't know, a pizza, and you can divide this pizza into different slices like this. And what fraction is that if you have, let me see if I can change colors. If you have just this piece of pizza, or plus this one, and these ones, I guess the pepperoni isn't really mixed. Out of this whole pizza, this little one, the one that's shaded in, is empty. So if we were to put this in fractions, so how many pieces in total do we have? So if we were to count the number of pieces in total, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 pieces. How many pieces of this pizza do we actually have to eat? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5. One unique thing about fractions is that this line right here basically represents division. So if you were to get a calculator and punch 5 divided by 6, you're going to get a decimal number. And that decimal number is basically the same as 5 over 6 or 5/6 of something. So a good way to think about fractions is really, it's just dividing. A lot of people get confused about fractions, or they just separate fractions, is that when you get something like this, 2 over 2, and then they get kind of caught up, well, what does 2 over 2 mean? How can I reduce this? Well, if you were just to divide this is just saying that it's 2 divided by 2. This is just 1. So when you reduce this, 2 over 2 is basically 1, because 2 divided by 2, separated by that fraction line, is 1. One other thing about fractions is that there are two different words. So if I were to use this one, it's again a little bit messy, but the top one is your numerator, and your bottom number, well, let me move that, is something called denominator. These are just two words to describe the top number or the bottom number. So anytime you hear the word numerator, the numerator, that's your top number. The denominator, starting with the letter D, could mean down. That's your bottom number. So 2 over 4, the 2 is your numerator, 4 is your denominator. So fractions is just showing the piece of the whole, and it can also mean division. There are a couple ways to express fractions. So I don't need to save this. Still loading. A couple ways to express fractions. So one way that we have seen before is something that's properly done. That's your proper fractions. Basically, you have something like this. That's exactly what we did. 5 pieces out of the 6. Oh, that's a terrible line. And you shaved in your 5 pieces. That's 5 out of 6 pieces. But there's something also called an improper fraction. This one is when the top number is bigger than the bottom number. So remember, this is your numerator, this is your denominator. Improper fraction is when you have a bigger numerator than your denominator. So what that looks like is that your bottom number, the denominator, is always going to be the number of pieces you have in your one whole piece. So in this pizza, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So if I were to fill this out, I have 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, 4 here, 5, and 6. But in this one, the top number, your numerator, is saying that, well, you actually have 7 pieces instead of the 6 here. So what you would do is you have to go and add another pizza. You can't just add one slice, you have to add the entire thing. And this bottom number is saying that you have 6 pieces in total. So when you add a new one, you would have 6 pieces in total as well. The top numerator number is basically telling you how many pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many pieces that's sort of on your pizza. Bottom number is how many total pieces in your pizza. I know it's a little bit confusing. Another way to write this of fractions is something called a mixed number. This is when you have a whole number, 1 or anything, and a fraction. So you have a whole integer and a fraction. What this looks like is, if you think about this entire slice of an entire pizza, you have 6 pieces out of 6. That is one whole one. So this one whole one is basically reduced or simplified into this one. And your remaining fraction here, that 1 out of the 6, is your remaining fraction. So if you were to draw this again, it will look exactly like the one at the top, which this is your whole pizza with 6 pieces in total. And out of the 6 total pieces, the first one will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this one will equal to 1. And your second one, you have just 1, so that's 1 over 6. So you combine these two, gives you a mixed number 1 over 1/6. So that's a mixed number. So again, proper is just your regular fraction. Numerator is smaller than the denominator. Improper with the im, bigger numerator, and mixed number is when you have this integer on the side representing one complete piece. So that's basics of fractions. And if you want to learn more about the mixed number, improper, or adding, multiplying, division, and all that, check my next video. This is the first one of the fractions.